On a recent 32 Thoughts podcast, Filip Forsberg pulled back the curtain to share what the Nashville Predators did once their disastrous season ended. On today's show, we're going to discuss if it's going to be enough to make a comeback this fall.
You're Locked On Predators, your daily podcast on the Nashville Predators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to the Locked On Predators podcast. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. We are, of course, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to kick off our Wednesday episode with a heartfelt shout out to our Locked On Predators insiders and our everydayers who tune in to talk Nashville Predators hockey. I'm Ann Kimmel. I'm a writer and co-host with Penalty Box Radio, and friends, I have a partner in crime.
You do. I am Emma Lingan, and I'm the NHL reporter and host for the Hockey News.
Well, Filip Forsberg has been making the rounds on the European Player Media Tour, and in an interview over the weekend with the 32 Thoughts podcast, Number 9 opened up about last season. He shared what the team did to dissect their disappointment, and he also talked some very interesting conversations about fashion and the freak on the team. Today, we're going to tell you if we think the Nashville Predators could do enough to turn things around in October. Before we dive into all of that, we do want to let you know that this episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. All right, Emma, you know, any Filip Forsberg conversation is one worth listening in on. He has been on tour. He's been in Milan. He's been over on the European Media Player Tour with other players, Philip Gustafsson, William Nylander, Moritz Seider is there, a bunch more, Nico Hischier, several others are making the rounds and schmoozing in Milan. And as a part of that, he sat down and did an interview with the 32 Thoughts podcast. And he was asked about last season. So we're going to read you some quotes from Number 9, and then we're going to talk about what he shared. So this is what he had to say when he was asked about last season. Forsberg said, "You think about it all year, right? You are trying to figure it out as you go. But once the season's over, it's almost like it was such a bad year that it's almost just hit the reset button." And I will say one of the hard parts of covering the team, one of the hard parts of being a fan last season was watching this team in real time, trying to figure out how to claw their way out of this hot mess that was the season. It was so painful. And I remember, Emma, and I can't tell you off the top of my head which game it was, but it was a post game with Michael McCarron. And the team had lost, even though it looked like they were going to win. And it was like a 5-minute stretch of bad hockey. And I remember McCarron like not laughing, haha, funny, but laughing like strange that this continues to happen. You know, and whether you think the Nashville Predators have a roster that is a playoff roster or not, everybody has to know that this team is better than they played last season. Am I right, Emma?
I mean, that's what we've been saying, and hopefully, you know, you say it enough, it
Come
will
on.
be true, you know?
Manifesting.
I really do think that, though.
Yeah.
Like, again, I'm not sitting here saying, like, it is a travesty that this team didn't go to the Stanley Cup last season, but I also think I'm here saying this team is a lot better, or they should have been a lot better. And I think everyone was saying that. I mean, that's what I get asked every time I do an appearance on a radio show, a podcast, a TV show, whatever it is. And I'm asked about, that's always the first question I'm asked. It's like, what happened? And I'm like, you tell me, because I am out of answers, and we all are. So it's kind of the same thing that Phil is saying there, is like, you have to just kind of hit the reset button because nobody knows what happened. And I agree with you that watching them in real time, trying to claw their way out of that, it was like watching a car crash in slow motion. Like, you can see it happening and you're like, oh no, 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 not now, not now. And it's like you can just see it coming and there's nothing you can do but just brace for impact. That was the entire last
Yeah.
season. And so I think that there definitely is an element of like, dude, we've got to just flush it. You've
Yeah.
got to flush it.
I think brace for impact would be great swag in our swag store to summarize last season.
It
Hopefully
sounds a
not
lot
next season, but doesn't,
cooler.
yeah.
Like
It
it
didn't feel
sounds cool. No, but I'm saying like it sounds cool and intense, but it's really not. It was very unpleasant. Would not
it,
recommend.
it
But
was. Now, Forsberg went on to talk about some of the things that the team did after the season wrapped up to address what had unfolded over the last 84 years. This is what he had to say. Forsberg said, "We had a couple meetings after, some of the players and some of the staff, and then they got almost a little bit of a sense of what people felt like. Not that there was an, oh, perfect, we fixed it type of thing, because you know how it goes. It doesn't work like that. At least we had that little bit of a sense of direction of where we think we should go. And since then, everybody's been working on their own game. At the end of the day, you work on your summer, trying to prepare mentally for what's coming and physically, and just be ready to be your best version of yourself." Filip went on to point out, look, nobody had a career year. Some of the young guys did take some steps forward, but we really didn't see any breakout performances from any of the Predators. When you listen to Phil say, hey, we sat down and we spent some time talking about what needs to happen and getting a sense of direction, do you feel like they were able, or do you feel like you can make progress in some conversations like that post season? Because it's very hard to know what to take away.
it is, and it's almost one of those things where we were watching it happen in real time, and it's you almost feel like, I mean, it was just the Bataan death march to get to the end of
Oof.
that season. And you could see it. You could feel it in like when you go into the locker room too. It was like everyone's just kind of going through the motions at that point. And I get it. And so I think that maybe to some degree you probably like nothing's going to get resolved until you do take some time away. Like
Mhm.
you separate yourself from it. But that being said, I don't think that there's no progress to be made by like, just sitting down and talking it out. I mean, again, it's you got to practice what you preach and put it into action. But like I've said so many times before, there's so many questions that we are not going to have answers to until the season starts, right? Because we can talk about it all day long, but we got to see it in action. But I do think it's important to know that they sat and talked about it. I mean, like, I don't know what people were thinking that these guys just like weren't talking to each other, but like it's good to have those honest conversations. And I think it's good like for fans to know that those conversations are being had and that it's not just like a, well, season ended, we all went our separate ways and we haven't
Mhm.
spoken since. Like not that that's realistic, but I mean, I don't know. Like listen, after the Yankees lost in the World Series, apparently Juan Soto, because he was entering free agency, apparently he didn't say a word to any of his Yankees teammates after that, cuz that was his way of being like, peace out, Girl Scouts, I'm leaving, I don't care. And so I think that just the fact that you're having the conversations of like, okay, let's do a little post-mortem of what went
Yes.
wrong because we're all here and we care. I think that's important.
Forsberg shared also that the players got together and had what he referred to as open mic night to talk about the season coming up. We'll share more of what Forsberg had to say about those meetings. We'll also tell you what we would like to say on open mic night for the Nashville Predators. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. College football is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than the energy of tailgates and being in the stands with your fellow fans. The only downside, trying to score those tickets, endless queues, hidden fees, and prices that jump at checkout. That's why you need to use Game Time. It's the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. If you are hoping to catch an SEC matchup live in Knoxville, or you want to stay a little closer to home and cheer on the Commodores in maybe another shocking upset game this season, Game Time has you covered. You can check out their terrific zone deals. You pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save big. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right, Emma, Forsberg went on to share that the team got together and had what he referred to as kind of an open mic night where the players sort of shared how they were feeling. He then went on to say that the leadership group had meetings with the management and with Andrew Brunette as well. Now, Forsberg did not reveal a ton of what was said in open mic night, but just talked about the fact that players got a chance to kind of share how they were feeling about the season. He did say that there were times in important conversations about X's and O's as far as like goal scoring and things like that, getting back to being the strong defensive team that Nashville is known to be. I'm just going to throw it out there to you, Emma. If you had an opportunity at open mic night to talk to the Nashville Predators about last season, what would you want to say?
So many things.
So many things.
I mean, I feel like most of what I would have to say would be in the form of a question, honestly, because like of all the times that I've been asked what happened, I want to ask them, like, what do you all think happened? Because we've been sitting here, I mean, we've made a living out of sitting here trying to dissect what's happened. But I would love to know, like, what do you think happened? And like, tell me, not as a member of the media, because I don't want the media answer. I'd be like, what the
Right.
flag nog was that? And I mean, that's where I would start, honestly.
Do you think they have an answer? Because that is the one thing that struck me so much this season, is that there was almost a sense of confusion at times about why isn't it coming together? Like, I really wonder by the end of the season, do you think that they have had clarity on, whoa, this is where it went off the rails?
It's like it's one of those things where I kind of go back to what I was saying before, where if they did, I feel like there would have to be some separation first. Like it's not going to be immediately day after the season finale. You're like, oh, that's what it was. Like I don't think it's that simple. I really don't think it is. If it was, we wouldn't still be sitting here talking about it. So I don't think they have an answer, because I don't think there is one answer. I think it's so many things. And so you can identify what all the problems are or were, and that's step one. Step two is now you have to prioritize. Okay, we can't, you can't try to, just miss the forest for the trees here, or whatever the reverse of that would be, where it's like if you're trying to do everything, you can't try to fix everything at once. It's like, okay, what do we need to tackle first? And then how do we do that? And I think that that's kind of what this is about, is like, okay, let's just have a little Festivus airing of grievances right now. And I don't even mean grievances against one another. I don't mean it as a personal thing. I just mean like our grievances with whatever the heck that just unfolded over the last 84 years. Let's air our grievances, and then let's go from there. decide which are the most important things to tackle. And then you know what? If you prioritize correctly, maybe the first one that you tackle solves like 4 other things too. Like
Yes.
I think it's got to be something like that, because there is no one clear cause to all of
Mhm.
this.
I want to touch on and emphasize something that you just said, talking about airing of the grievances. And I will say this, one of the things that I was surprised about, and again, as a media member, we see a lot, but we don't see everything. You know, it's like a bikini. They show us some things, but they don't show us everything. And we're really glad for that. But one of the things that sometimes you can pick up on is if there is a grievance against each other. Like, and that is one thing that I will say for this team that I think was interesting, even though so much was going so wrong, even though individually and collectively, this team, it was such a struggle, you all, last season. There really wasn't ever an undercurrent, even of, it's this guy's fault. It's this guy's fault. And I think that it would be very easy to say, you know whose fault it is? It's the guys who came into the locker room and they disrupted our mojo. And I think that that would be something that people from the outside would say, well, there's something very obvious. They're probably frustrated about this. But really, there was never a vibe this season of this team turning on each other. And I give a lot of credit to the leadership in that locker room, because for what they went through, for how far they fell away from expectations, the fact that they did not eat their own young, the fact that they did not gerbil it up in that locker room is a credit to the leadership, is probably, I know this may stick in someone's craw, a credit to Andrew Brunette for being able to keep this from being a locker room that's like, you're the problem. No, you're the problem. No, you're the problem. Like, this is a team that collectively suffered, but didn't eat their own young. And that's impressive. Like, that is one little teeny tiny nugget of hope that this team can carry over into next season for me.
And that is huge. I mean, and I think people are going to say what they're going to say about like, oh, we're trying to do good PR for the team, but we're really not. I think
No.
that like this is just from being in there. I've been in locker rooms before where you can feel the tension and you can feel this guy doesn't like this guy and this, and then,
Mhm.
and I mean, you watched it happen in real time last year. Look what happened in Vancouver
Oh.
between Elias Patterson and JT Miller. I mean, things like that, they don't stay hidden, they become
Mhm.
obvious. And listen, the way the Predators season went, would have had every reason for something like that to happen. I'm not saying that it would be good or right, or justified, but it's like, when things get hard, you start turning on each other.
Mhm.
It's what happens. And I really just don't think there was any of that. But I do think that there was a lot of like, none of us knows what the heck is going on. We're all frustrated with ourselves. We have all turned inward,
Mhm.
and it's not helping. So I think that like it would have been so easy for them to turn on each other. I
Yeah.
think you saw it, like you said, with the fan base. You saw a lot of people saying, well, the new guys came in and they screwed everything up. Like, listen, change is hard and change is gonna change things. Like just because things went poorly, we don't necessarily like one X does not equal Y necessarily. Like there's the
Right.
whole difference between like correlation, causation, all of that. It's like it's just because one thing happens doesn't mean that, yes, that's why this other thing happened. I
Mhm.
mean,
Yeah. And I think it's easy from the outside looking in for people to go, blame it on the new guys. They just didn't work in the locker room. That's a gross oversimplification, I think, of what happened. And I don't think that that was how the players internally felt. Coming up, we're going to share one of the most interesting comments that Filip Forsberg made as he talked about the Florida Panthers. We're also going to tackle his comments on fashion and the freak on the team. All right, Emma, before we dive back into our Filip Forsberg conversation, Emma and I do have a special request for our listeners. Locked On wants to hear from you. We have put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and to make your favorite sports podcasts even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer some questions about our advertising. If you want to participate, go to lockedonpodcasts.com/survey, and that'll get you started. Everybody who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, you can check it out at lockedonpodcasts.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes. We appreciate your help with that. All right, Emma, one of the most interesting comments that I think Filip Forsberg made, and this kind of goes along with what we were just saying about the team. This is what he had to say about the team going forward and who is going to lead it. Forsberg said this: the leadership group is going to be the pushing factor of where the team goes. The management is obviously going to do a lot of good things and point us in the right direction, but it's the players, the teams that win, like Florida. They have a great example of what I feel like is a player-driven team with a great coach. So I think that's what everybody's striving for. We have a really good group of guys in place for that. I thought this was such an interesting comment and really kind of leans into what we were saying, that this is a leadership group. And I would say this is a locker room that wants to come together and wants to lead this team. And I think it's interesting the way he phrased it. It is a player driven team with a great coach. And I think there is something there, Filip Forsberg. There is something there. I thought that was really interesting. And I get it when he gives the example of the Florida Panthers. And I'm, of course, not saying Paul Maurice isn't a fabulous coach, because he is a fabulous coach. But there is something about the way the players operate in Florida that drives that team.
Definitely. And, I think that I will say the skeptic in me is a little bit like, did you why he didn't say anything about Andrew Brunette being a great coach? Like, I don't know. That's just
Yeah.
me getting out my drama cauldron. But again, that could mean nothing. Maybe him saying Paul Maurice is a great coach was him saying that, yes, we also have a great coach. Like,
Mhm.
it could mean anything. But I think that it was very player focused and very much kind of along the lines of what we've been saying, which is that we all believe, those of us watching believe, that this team is better than what they showed last year.
Yeah.
And so this is just kind of reaffirming that internally they have that belief as well.
Yeah. There were some other great conversations with Filip Forsberg in this podcast that talked about some things off of the ice. One of the topics that I love they got into was fashion. And little inside scoop, Filip Forsberg does not have a stylist. He does it himself. Now, he also has an outrageously fashionable and cool wife who probably makes sure he doesn't go out the door looking like a fool. But I thought that was really interesting. And he was like, I pick out my clothes based on what I like. And I thought, good for you. But here's the real question I had listening to that, Emma. Do you think if Filip Forsberg got something that was Nicole Kidman compliment worthy, would he gush if he got it on sale? Do you think Filip Forsberg is one of us, really?
Absolutely not. As much as I would love to believe that he is, no.
No.
No. Was it locker room clean out day? Wasn't he wearing
Yes.
was it Gucci or what was it?
It
That
was
shirt he
something.
was
Oh, it
wearing.
was amazing. The
And
media commented on it.
yes, but he even was very much like, I'm not giving away my secrets kind of thing. And it's like, Phil, do you really think any of us can afford this? Like, we're gonna, where'd you get it? I'm gonna go buy
I'm gonna go
one,
get
because
that.
that would be like more than a car payment. But it's fine.
Yeah.
But no,
He did.
I as much as I would love to believe that he's one of us, truly, I don't buy it.
Yeah. He's probably just, and I find this, it tastes like vinegar to say, but I think he might be just a little bit cooler. He did also
Hard to
talk.
believe, I know, but
I know.
know.
Whatever. He did talk about best and worst dressed on the Preds. He said the Europeans definitely are always best dressed. Said Saros, one of the best dressed, which I was like, he
That
is
double-breasted suit game that he's got, it's
top tier.
oh, yeah.
Top tier. He was asked who was the worst dressed, and he didn't name anybody. He said he felt bad because last year he threw Tommy Novak under the bus. And since
I
Novak's not
mean,
there,
Tommy Novak was the clear worst dressed on the team, that it
bless.
would be hard not to throw him under the bus. So now that he's gone, I don't really know that there is a clear
Yeah.
loser in this category, you know?
Yeah.
It's like it would feel mean. Like when you say Tommy Novak's the worst dressed, you almost feel like you're just stating the obvious. It's not really a hot take
Yeah.
at all
No.
to say that
To
he's the
Tommy
worst dressed.
Novak either. Like it's not news to
No.
Tommy Novak. He don't care.
No, he does not care.
He does not.
But for everyone else, I mean, there wasn't anyone who stuck out to me this year as like, oh, like,
Yeah. Yeah. The guys who came up, they hung right in there with Phil
yeah,
and I mean, not maybe Phil Saros level, but yeah, everybody they cleaned up just
they
fine.
held their own. They held
Yep.
their own.
Yep. I do love the comment he made when he referred to one of his teammates as a freak. And if you are a regular listener to the Locked On Predators podcast, it should not surprise you that the player he is talking about, Ryan O'Reilly. This is what Forsberg said. He said, O'Reilly is the perfect example. Like, he's obviously a little bit of a freak in a way. He's out there even now. Like, we skate at 10 and he's out there at 9:15. He shows up, does a quick warm up, and goes right out on the ice. And he just kind of talked about like just that's just how he operates kind of at this freak level. Friends, we told you he is a next level he's next level. But again, I come back to, is he one of those people where he lives by like how you do one thing is how you do all things? Like, is he like this in every aspect of his life? I don't know.
I don't know, but can attest to the fact that he is the first one on, last one off, as those of us who've had to wait for him to get off the ice. And he does not, if you tell him people are waiting for him, it doesn't matter. Doesn't change a darn thing.
No,
They'll wait. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And I will say this one thing I will say about that kind of situation is O'Reilly, when you wait, is still very, very gracious with his time, even though he may have some of the things. But yeah, if you are waiting to talk to Ryan O'Reilly, I hope that you packed a snack.
Yes.
I always do. So I'm fine. One of the other mysteries, allegedly, Filip Forsberg does not know the answer to. Of course, we're talking about the interview that Spencer Stasny did with 32 Thoughts podcast. Stasny shared that the day he made his NHL debut, somebody sent him a shirt with Roman Yossi's face on it. Forsberg says he has no idea. Didn't know. He has no idea. Sounded like Forsberg felt like that was just so not a Roman Yossi thing to do. I don't know. Is Filip Forsberg lying, or did he really not know? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Is he faking us out? Is he throwing us off the scent? Was it Filip Forsberg?
I don't know, but I know for a fact it was definitely not Roman.
Can you imagine? Like, Roman was probably so embarrassed.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if Phil knows. I feel like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like he wasn't lying when he said he didn't know.
Yeah. I would have passed him on a polygraph just from hearing him talk about it. But if it was him, that dude keeps secrets. Like, he's a vault, because it really did sound like he didn't know anything about that. So I don't know. Maybe this year we'll figure it out, Emma. Maybe that's the investigative journalism that we're going to tackle this year. Like,
yeah,
I
mean, we're going to need something. If this year goes anything like last year did, we're going to need something to focus our energies on.
That's right. That's right. Well, we want to know what you think. Do you think the Nashville Predators meeting together and talking is the right step in the direction they need to go this October? Does it give you any hope that Filip Forsberg talked about this team breaking it down? Let us know in the comment section of this video. Of course, you can find us as well on social media. Emma, before we wrap up Filip Forsberg Wednesday, will you let everyone know where they can find you and your work?
Yes, you can find me on social media at Emma_Lingan, and you can find my work at the Hockey News.
You can find me on social media at AnnK_Mama on Ice. You can find my work with Penalty Box Radio as well. That is going to do it for today's episode of the Locked On Predators podcast. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. We will be back later this week with an all new episode. We'll see you then.